Okay, let's begin in a comfortable seat, or as comfortable as you can get. Feel free to sit up on a block or a pillow if your hips are feeling a little tight today. You want to make sure that you can bring your shoulders over your hips so they're not hunched forward. Roll those shoulders back, head comes in line with your spine, and close your eyes down for a few breaths. Just to check in, see how you're doing today. Breathing in and out through the nose, trying to breathe down into your belly. So nice full exhales all the way out until you feel your belly pulling up and in just a little. So you can inhale all the way down into your belly and even into your back, into your low back. Maybe noticing any little tight spots, trying to send your breath there. And then bringing your hands to heart center, maybe setting an intention for your practice today. We're going to be toning the spine, opening the heart, bending the back. So this will be a good sequence for building energy, getting things done, setting intentions with that kind of focus. So a couple breaths here. Feeling the heat between your palms, feeling your shoulders settling down away from your ears so your heart stays lifted. Your back has to be engaged. And then on an inhale, open your eyes, arms come out to the side and then all the way up. Big full breath in at the top, hold it for a second, and then exhale to cactus arms. So your elbows come in line with your shoulders, not out in front, just right in line, and fingers spread wide. A couple breaths like that. Inhaling, lifting up. Hold at the top, and then exhale, nice big strong cactus arms. Heart stays lifted, arms are engaged. This helps to bring the shoulders in alignment. Couple more on your own breath count. Inhaling up, exhaling out. Let's do one more. And exhale. This time bring your arms down to the sides. Walk your left hand out just a little bit. Sit down to your right sit bone and then big inhale, lift your right arm up. Exhale over towards the left, staying heavy through that right sit bone. So it's a nice big side stretch without leaning over. So there's no compression on that left hand side. It's a nice lift. And stay here for another breath or two. Maybe opening your heart up towards the ceiling and then back towards the right. You can bend that left elbow or use that arm to prop you up, whatever works best. Just notice all the little parts of your body, how they're integrated into the pose. Good. And then on an inhale, press into your bottom hand, lift up through your top arm, and then come back to center. Here we take it to the other side. So your right hand comes down, shift your weight over towards the left a little bit to start, and then big breath in. Lift those left fingertips up towards the ceiling, and stay here as you exhale, opening up through the heart. So it helps to plug your shoulder into your shoulder joint and then down your spine a little, so you're not really reaching, but find what feels good. If that doesn't make sense, then just work on stretching and lengthening without compressing through the right hand side. Another breath or so here. And it's a little harder to breathe in a side bend, but you want to focus on breathing into all the tight spots and keeping your rib cage lifted off your pelvis. That makes it easier. Good. And then inhale, lift up. Exhale, back to center. Roll those shoulders back. And then come to hands and knees. Spreading those fingers out. Feeling some heat going down through your arms now. Knees right underneath your hips. Nice straight spine to start. Roll those shoulders back away from your ears. Head stays in line with your spine. Stay here for a breath in and out. Feeling your core engaged just slightly. Your low belly engaging to protect your low back. And then on an inhale, extend your right arm long, keeping your left elbow in. Go away. Keeping your hips level and reaching up and away from you. And then exhale, come back to center. So you feel your muscles working on this part of your arm here. And then take it to the other side. Inhale, your left arm stretches out. Right elbow stays in line with your shoulder and wrist. Exhale, come back to center. Belly pulls in. Shoulders stay back. And go back and forth just like that. Working on keeping your tailbone pointed straight away from you. So your core is working, the stabilizer muscles in your shoulders are working. And you're spreading out through the hips. Like your hip bones are spreading away from each other. It's more of an energetic action, so keep going. Warming up the core. And then come on back to center. Belly pulls in. And just a couple gentle cat-cow breaths. So inhaling, dropping your belly down, looking up. Exhale, feel your belly pull in. Round your spine. Rib cage lifts up away from you. Head drops down. Inhale, arching. Exhaling, rounding through it. Pressing into your hands. Trying to feel each one of your vertebrae moving. So really check in with your entire spine here. Zooming into all those little parts, maybe moving one vertebrae at a time, starting from your pelvis to initiate the motion and then rocking all the way through. Couple more like that. And then on your next inhale, come on back to tabletop, belly pulls in. Take your hands, one handprint out in front of you. Curl your toes under and press yourself up to downward facing dog. Pedaling your feet out a little bit, hips reaching up and back, still engaging through your arms. Heart reaches down towards the floor, so you're nice and open through the bottoms of your shoulders, like this part of your shoulder here. Breathing here. And then inhale, look forward, bend your knees just a little bit. Exhale, gently bring your feet to the top of your mat, landing in a forward fold. So take your feet about as wide as your mat, a little bit wider than hip width distance. Make sure your toes are pointed straight ahead, not out to the side. And then bend your knees a little bit to bring your weight into your heels. Drop your spine down, relaxing your head, and then walk your right arm over towards your left foot. And then drop down. So this brings your body into a gentle twist. If it feels good, you can inhale your left arm up. Exhale, rest it on your low back. Just a gentle twist. Staying heavy through the crown of your head and relax through your legs so that you can really unwind in your spine. Just a little warm up. And then on an inhale, press your tailbone back away from you. Crown of your head reaches forward just slightly, like coming into a little bit of a halfway lift. And then relaxing down. That just brings you back to center. You want to just create length for that motion. And then take it to the other side, tiptoeing that right hand to the outside of your, your left hand to the outside of your right ankle, whatever side you didn't do. And then inhale that right arm up. And then back behind your back. Head totally drops down, spine is relaxing. So there's a little bit more space in between each of your vertebrae. It's decompressing your low spine in a nice gentle twist. Super good for the back. Big full breaths here. Don't let it be too relaxed. You want to keep your legs active, keep your breath growing bigger and stronger. Noticing how when you breathe bigger, then on your exhales, you can drop a little further into the pose. And then come on out, inhaling, bringing your spine forward just a little bit to create some length, and then arms come back to center. If your knees are really bent, you can press your hands into the floor to help you as you tiptoe those feet back to about hip width distance apart. And then from here, inhale to a halfway lift. Belly pulls in a lot. Hands come to your shins, shoulders away from your ears, same as tabletop. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, bend your knees, press into your heels so your weight comes backward. Belly pulls in and then arms sweep up towards the front, coming into Utkatasana, chair pose. Taking a couple breaths to settle in here. You want your belly really strong, tailbone pointed down away from you. This pose is amazing for waking up the legs, grounding our energy out of our head, realigning the pelvis, and using the core. So settle into it, shoulders away from the ears. I like my pinkies to roll in towards each other. If this is hard on your arms, you can just bring your hands down to your hips. That's fine too. And just work on keeping that heart open and shoulders back without arching forward through your low spine. You want to keep that nice integrity there. And then inhale, squeeze the glutes, come all the way up to stand, lifting your heart. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then down by your sides. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Maybe roll those shoulders back once, palms face forward. Take a second just to check in with your standing alignment. So pushing your hips forward slightly if you feel that your hip flexors are tight, just to lift up a little bit through the rib cage so there's space between your ribs and your pelvis. Thighs are tight, pulling up on your knees just a little bit, pressing into your feet evenly. Toes pointed straight ahead, head in line with your spine. So much going on even in this nice simple standing posture. So enjoy it, embody it, breathe into it. And then inhale, arms lift. Exhale to chair pose, belly pulls in. Inhale here, and then exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, belly pulls in. Exhale, fold down, plant your hands, step both feet back so you're coming into a high plank, and then lower down onto your forearms. So bonus points if you can keep your hands in line with your shoulders. If you really want to bring your hands together for more stability, that's okay. But practice this, see if that works. Shoulders pull away from your ears. Glutes are nice and strong. Same as mountain pose. Think mountain pose with your legs. So there's a lot of strength. That's your foundation. You press into the balls of your feet a little bit. Head lifts up so it's in line with your spine. A few breaths here. Feel that heat in the core. Notice how this makes you breathe into your rib cage a little bit more since your core is really tight and you can't breathe so deep into your belly. Another couple breaths. You can always bring your knees down in this one, but if you do so, make sure that your hips don't sit back. You want your hips to stay nice and level here. So your glutes are working to press your hips forward, even if your knees are on. Okay, that's enough. Bring your knees down, lower everything down to your mat. Oh, that feels good. Hands come right underneath your shoulders. Elbows pull back. Forehead comes to the mat. Bring your feet together. And then just lift your right leg up on an inhale, reaching out through those toes. Think like your inner thigh is lifting up. Keep your knee pointed down so it's not out to the side. It's just straight up. Doesn't need to be a lot, just a little bit of emotion there. Relaxing through your shoulders and your face. Couple more breaths. Feeling your glute working. Seeing if you can lift the top part of your thigh up. So you're really using your glutes. See how much of your leg you can get off the floor. And then relax it down. Take it to the other side. Left leg lifts up on an inhale. Notice if there's a different side to side. This one is often kind of asymmetrical for a lot of us, so just notice. Trying to keep your right leg as relaxed as possible as you do this. Reaching up through that inner thigh, pressing out through those toes. Squeeze through the glutes, relax your shoulders. They're still pulling away from your ears. And then just relax down. Then your feet come together and lift both legs up. Toes point away, knees point down, glutes squeeze, inner thighs lift, shoulders pull back, head stays relaxed on the floor. Couple more breaths. Breathe into your belly as much as you can. Good, and then relax it down. Inhale to cobra pose, low cobra, pressing your feet into the floor now, lifting up through your upper spine, a little bit different. And then exhale, sit back to child's pose for a sec, just to stretch out the low back after all of that work. Couple big breaths in and out here. And then on an inhale, so you almost reach up through your hips first a little bit. Come forward to cow pose, so that spinal extension, that arching through the spine, that's your inhale. And then exhale, keep that extension as you sweep your hips up to downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg straight up behind you. Think the same as the floor, so your inner thigh is lifting and your toes are pointed straight down. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose, belly pulls in to make room. And then you take your left foot out to the side just a little bit and then down to about 45 degrees. Hips stay level, belly pulls in. Inhale, press into your feet as you come up to Warrior One. So for a lot of us, Warrior One is kind of difficult depending on where your hips are tight. So if this really doesn't feel good in your back knee, just lift that heel up coming into a crescent lunge. This one's more neutral for the legs. I usually do this one. But Warrior One is nice if you can work on keeping those hips square towards the front, keeping weight down through your back foot and your knee is turned inward. So there's a little bit of an inward spiraling through that back leg, staying really strong through both legs so there's not too much weight in the front. And then you lift up through your chest. And then if you like, you can lift up through your arms. Nice big inhale here. And exhale, press into your back foot a little bit. One more big inhale. And then exhale your right hand down. Hips stay right where they are, but you lift up through the left hand. And then maybe even back, just to stretch out these hip flexors here. And then wait for an inhale, bring that right arm back up, coming to center. Exhale, fold forward. Hands come all the way down. Step both feet back. Move forward, and then lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale your right foot up, same as before. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale your left foot up, leg comes up. Lower that one down. This one is so much harder for me on the left, so I apologize for the cueing if it's confusing. And then inhale both legs up together. Shoulders stay back. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale to low cobra. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up. Warrior One on the other side, setting up. Exhale, knee to your nose, step it through. With control, set your back foot up. Press into both feet, squeeze your core, squeeze your thighs together as you inhale your arms up to Warrior One. Again, hips stay nice and square. Rib cage lifts up away from the pelvis. Keep that weight strong through that back foot. Arms stay lifted, but shoulders stay away from your ears. So you can be really strong through your shoulders without shrugging them up. So just kind of play around with that a little bit. And then inhale your left hand down, right arm up, coming towards the side bend, and then even a little bit back, just a little bit. Only as much as feels good. For another breath in. And out. Inhale your spine back up to center, bringing your left arm up. Exhale, keep your hips pointed back as you fold forward. Hands come down. Step both feet back. Move forward. And then lower all the way down to your belly. This time, bend your knees up. You want to keep your knees close together. Don't let them fall out towards the side. Bend your knees up. Reach around with your arms. See if you can grab onto your feet. If this is really challenging, then you just do one. And then partway through, I'll let you know. You can go ahead and switch. So this might just be your pose. This is a nice quad stretch. You're pressing your hips into the floor, so your glutes are a little bit active here. Head is on the floor. Shoulders have to stay relaxed and away from the ears, usually for us to stay in this pose. If you want to take it a little further, you can kick your hands into your feet, lifting your hips up. And then maybe, so first just start with the hips. So your hips lift up. That's your foundation. Your legs are always your foundation for the pose. Well, okay, that's not true, but your legs are often the foundation, and they are in this case. So lift up through the legs, and then you'll feel after a little bit that starts to pull your chest up and open, staying here. If you're doing the one-legged version, go ahead and switch right about now. And so you're working on staying as relaxed as you can through your upper body and letting your legs drive the pose, but you can start to add a little bit of your front part of your spine, that low cobra action, lifting up through your heart so everything lifts up, coming into bow pose. A few more breaths. Notice it's a little harder to breathe here. There's a lot going on. Really charging up the heart chakra, throat chakra, and solar plexus chakra, which are our big forward-moving energy centers in our body. And then gently relax down. Let go of your legs. Inhale to a gentle supported low cobra where you actually press into your hands. And then exhale into child's pose. Stretch that out. So you feel your hips nice and level on the floor, heavy on the floor. Feeling your legs relax now. This is a resting pose, so on every exhale, you just let it all go. All right. Inhale, come on back up to hands and knees, and then come to lie on your back. Bend your knees up, maybe hug your knees into your chest just a little bit. Rocking side to side to release the low back. And then your feet come to the floor, hip width distance apart. Shoulders come underneath your spine. Inhale, lift your hips straight up towards the ceiling, keeping your weight in your heels a little bit, thinking chair pose. Hips lift up, kneecaps lift away from you so your spine stays really long. And then maybe you can walk those shoulder blades underneath your spine and interlace your fingers underneath your low back to lift your heart up. A few nice big deep breaths here. Keeping the shoulders away from your ears. I know I say it all the time, but it's important and it's a big habit to break for most of us. So it's worth reminding. Couple more breaths. And then bring your hands apart. Keep your hips lifted. Hands come all the way out in a T, so there's plenty of room for your spine now in between your shoulder blades. And starting from the top, you're going to lower one vertebrae down at a time. So each little part of your spine, go as slow as you can, tuning into the little tiny motions as much as you can, one vertebrae at a time. I know for me, because I've got a lot of back injuries, there are spots where my spine wants to shift over to one side or the other. And it's just worth noticing and creating as much length so your spine can bring itself back to neutral, especially if that kind of stuff is going on. So one by one, taking your time, taking as many breaths as you need, pausing in any spots that feel really tight or really stuck, like you can't just move one vertebrae or so. And then just easing into it, coming all the way down. All right, so you can take another round of bridge pose, lifting up, maybe even coming up gradually like we just did, but the opposite. Or, since we're all nice and warmed up for it, we can take wheel. So your hands come back behind your shoulders. So if you have a little bit of wrist issues with this might be just a good practice for you, just to bring your hands underneath your shoulders with your fingers pointed towards your toes. Elbows stay, they can be a little bit away from your shoulders if you need a little bit of room. And then you start like bridge pose. So you press into your feet, you lift your hips up. And then when you can, you press into your hands and lift your spine all the way up. Don't do this if you have a lot of disc issues or if your spine really isn't ready for it. Take the time to go through all the other poses that we did. You'll eventually get there. So notice if this is like, oh my gosh, my body hates this pose. If it's challenging but not painful in any bone on bone spots, then that's okay. Then you can play with it a little bit. So you want to keep your elbows in and press into your whole hand as much as you can. That flexibility also grows the more you practice with this pose. And your heart is lifted up. Your knees want to stay, they might want to fall, but you want to keep them together or closer together, about hip width distance. And you stay here for as many breaths as you like. And when you're ready to come out, first you bend your elbows, bring your head down. If you don't land on your head, you kind of land in your shoulders a little bit. And then you come out of it the same way we did with bridge pose, just one vertebrae at a time. You're shaking out those wrists a little bit. And then hug those knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. That was awesome. Rocking back and forth. And then bring your knees down, or your feet down. Feet a little bit wide, so about as wide as your mat. Arms come out to a T. And then allow both knees to drop down to the left. Inhale them back up. Exhale them over to the other side. Maybe adding the neck in, going the opposite way of your legs. Inhaling back to center. Exhale to the other side, just to release the back a little bit, releasing the hips. That was a lot of good work. Nice gentle twist. Good. And come on back to center. Bring your feet close together. Bring your feet together all the way, and then your knees come out wide. Arms stay wide. And then take a couple breaths just to check in with your body, see how you're feeling after all those back bends. Back bends have a pretty strong effect on our nervous system. The more, and you'll notice is the more that you practice with them and the deeper you can get into them, the stronger this effect gets, where it just really opens up a lot of energy in your heart and through all of your blood vessels and everything. It's good for your brain. Like forward folds and back bends forward, so I guess just forward bends, they tend to be a little bit more calming for the nervous system, where back bends really open you up. And are great if you're kind of having a blah day where you don't really want to do anything. Do maybe 5 or 10 minutes of yoga, do a couple nice back bends, warm up carefully for it, and you'll notice you might have a little bit more oomph to carry through in your day. Good. And then knees come back up. Let's do one last twist. Just allow both knees to fall off towards the right. Head turns off to the left. You can adjust this how you like. You can bring both knees all the way over and keep them there. You can relax it a little bit. So there's a little bit of a twist in your hips too. Whatever works for you. Just let it feel good. Just doing this to release the spine after all that work. Take it to the other side. Legs come all the way over to the left. Head looks off to the right. And then come back to center. And this one, let's end in a seated position. So you can, if you want to take a nice shavasana, that's totally fine. And just relax that. But at the end of your shavasana, end in a seat. I'm just going to go there now. So you come on up. Just because your spine is nice and strong right now, and you'll notice that it's a lot easier to sit up straight. So you just want to feel that. So same as we started, shoulders are back, head is in line with your spine, core is slightly engaged, eyes closed down. And with every breath, just feel yourself relaxing down a little heavier into your sit bones. So the energy comes out of your head and just drains down. Helps to ground you, setting some focus into your day. Maybe coming back to your intention at the beginning of your practice. Sending a couple breaths into that. And then ending by bringing your hands together into heart center, offering up some gratitude for you for doing such a great job. And knowing that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly as you are supposed to be right now. So you can stay here as long as you like. And stay mindful through the rest of your day, seeing if you can carry this sort of tuned in feeling with yourself and this lift through your heart and strength in your spine and in your core. See if you can keep that throughout the day. Thank you very much. Thumbs come to your forehead, bowing forward. Namaste.